Greetings, fellow Planeswalkers.
I'm James.
And I'm Paul.
And you're listening to the newest episode of the Commander at Arms podcast. This week on the podcast, we're talking about the reserve list, but not in the way you might expect. Now, before that, we have our upkeep trigger to do here. We're going to thank all of our patrons for your love and support. You help keep the lights on here and keeping us fed. If you want to help support the show, you can do that directly at patreon.com/commanderatarms, where over the last couple of days, I have just gone through and changed a lot of our tiers. So go and check it out and give us some feedback on Twitter. Now we have mail day and interesting finds. Paul, have you found anything or bought anything of any kind of spice lately?
Yes, actually. I bought, I want to say about 10 cards for the cube.
Yeah.
Went to my LGS and, it's a new LGS, so I wanted to buy some stuff to support.
Ooh, which LGS is that?
It was called, I think it's Happy Troll Games is what it's called.
Never heard of it.
It's like basically across the street from Windows, which is the store I normally go to. So I went in, I bought some singles. I bought like a Hydroid Crisis. I bought an Imperial Recruiter. I bought a old bordered foil Dig Through Time, the FNM promo that they had last year towards September, I think, or October, somewhere around there. I bought, like I said, about 10 cards per cube. Bought a few for Commander, including a Deck of Many Things, which is a card I never opened that I really wanted.
That's from that was from the AFR, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was
Adventures
from
of
the
Forgotten
D&D
Realms?
set, yeah. I also bought a Reality Acid for Brago, which is a card that I always knew I wanted for Brago. I just never got around to getting one, and it was sitting there, so I figured why not. And what else did I buy? Oh, yeah, at Windows, I went to 2 stores. I actually bought 5 collector's packs and a regular draft box of Kamigawa, because that set is awesome. I really wanted a collector's box, but unfortunately they only had a few packs left, so I just took what they had in a regular box, and I opened decently well. I did get a Jingataxius, so that was pretty cool. It was a foil one. I did open some variant cards. I opened 2 farewells, which is really cool. I actually opened a surprising amount of the cards that I was hyping up on the last episode, which is pretty cool because now I just get to instantly play them.
I love it when that happens. I love it when I'm like, we do a set review episode or our top 10, 15 cards of a set that we really, really like and really should be hyping up. And then as I'm opening up packs, I'm like, oh, we talked about this card on the podcast, and it's a fantastic card.
Yeah, no lie. I opened doubles of each rare that we talked about, except for Lion Sash. I didn't open a single one, but that's fine.
Oh, wow. Well, just go back to Windows or what was it? Happy
Troll Games.
Happy Troll Games, and just pick one up.
I didn't see one there. It's a pretty new set, so might have to wait a little while on that. But I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but I got my Stranger Things cards in.
Yes,
and
I think you did.
I was able to successfully put together a very rough version of that deck. It's playable, but it's not the one that I have up on Architect. And while I was going through getting cards for that, I actually put together an entirely separate deck, which I'm not going to talk about here. James knows what it is, but that one is going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
I can't wait for you to bust it out on one of the streams one week.
Maybe even this week.
Who knows? Now, this is actually going to be one of those very interesting times, Paul, where the podcast is going to go live the same day that we're streaming. So we actually can kind of promote it on this episode. And if you're listening to this before, 8:30 EST on the Thursday that this comes out, then you'll be able to check us out on that week for our stream. Which is at twitch.tv/commanderatarms. Don't forget to give us a follow. We're so close to being affiliated with them. I think we're 25 followers away. So if you want to, help support us over there as well as everywhere else that we have our content, just throw us a follow, because it's going to mean the world to us, and it literally takes all of 10 seconds. Not even that. It takes a second just to click a button.
And if you want a sneak preview of what you can expect from our streams, we do have a YouTube series called To the Battlefield, where you can actually check out our latest episode, episode number 3. I don't want to spoil anything that happens there, but like I said, if you're looking for a little bit of a teaser of what our streams entail, you can go ahead and check that out. And there's always one game on stream that we do not upload. We usually play about 2 games. One goes on YouTube, one is stream only. So if you want some exclusive content, go check that out.
And for anyone who's kind of out there who's thinking about Patreon and stuff, I have a idea of doing Patreon exclusive videos, which will require gameplay with our friends. So if you want to get access to those videos as well, go and hit up our Patreon, like I mentioned at the start of the episode, and at the end of the episode as well. And from that, Paul, we have play of the week to get through here. Have you done anything like inherently broken? Because I know I've done something, and this was a non-content fun game that I played, and it was an absolute doozy.
Other than spending like probably too much money on Magic cards, I haven't really done much in the realm of Magic this week.
Okay, so let me paint you a picture, right? It's dusk over the brisk evening. Dusk is evening, right? Yes, it is. I'm really bad at painting pictures. I'm no Bob Ross.
Isn't dawn evening?
Yeah, it is. I already messed it up, okay? So myself and some fellow people in the community on our Discord server decided we wanted to play Magic, and it was one of those like awkward times where I was like, oh, I'm editing, but yeah, I can like step away for about an hour or two because my eyes are starting to hurt. Let's just throw some cards down and sling some spells at each other and smack each other in the face, you know? Let's just go face punching for about an hour. So we did. And I got to pull out Geared, and you know, I know, and everyone else who listens or watches this show knows how much I love that deck. It just wants to smack with rhinos, and it did something the other day that I have never done before, and it revolved around a 4 CMC artifact with equip 5 that makes a copy of the equipped creature at the beginning of combat.
It's Helm of the Host. I don't know if you were waiting for me to say that.
Yeah, no, it is. I was leaving a dramatic pause. So Helm of the Host, but not on Geared, on something else. Something else that I added to the deck that I was given to me for my birthday from my friends in Australia. I put it on old Gnawbone. So I have a 7/7. Unfortunately, I had to do it like after combat. I had to like slap it down and then go to combat and swing out with Geared and make some treasures and then be able to like equip it and everything. But the next turn, so I had Helm of the Host with old Gnawbone there, sitting on my battlefield, just chilling, hanging out. And it got around a whole turn, and it came back to my turn, and I was like, all right, I'm going to go to combat, and I'm going to create a copy of old Gnawbone. And everyone's like, okay. And I was versing a Cranko not mob boss, the Cranko Tin Street Kingpin deck, and I died the next turn, but I got to also create 112 treasures in one combat.
Wow. That is... Yeah. Now I have the context for that tweet that you sent out.
Yes, that was amazing. And I mean, it was like, oh, it's a non-content game, but realistically, I tweeted that picture out. I tweeted out everything else that I was doing about it. I'm talking about it on the podcast. So I mean, every game that I play is content, I guess. It was so much fun, and I died to a bunch of little 1/1s, just hoarding my face and killing me. And I was like, whatevs, Trevs. I got to do what I wanted to do, and I wanted to make 2 to 3 old Gnawbones and go ham. And I went absolutely ham because I got to fly in with 2 7/7s and then attack with Geared. And I got to actually what I should have done, because old Gnawbone was a token at that point. I could have populated the old Gnawbone token, but I populated a Rhino because I was like, it just hits rhinos. Ha ha ha, I'm bad at this game. I should have populated the old Gnawbone and gotten 21 damage at the mono red Cranko player, and I would have been able to kill them and then maybe stayed alive for the next turn. But I mean, I was too excited in the moment of having 2 old Gnawbones. I didn't think of the possibilities of ever having 3 old Gnawbones.
That would have been quite insane. You would have made quite a bit more treasures off that, actually.
Oh yeah.
Let's see, you made 112, you said?
Yeah.
So what is half of that? 56? So you would have made a number that I don't care to calculate.
I mean,
100,
it's 56
or
times
something.
3.
168, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
something like that.
168.
Enough treasures that I didn't have enough cards in my hand to draw it or anything or play it or anything. I was like, I have a butt ton of treasures. Woohoo. Next.
You know what card would have been really good there?
What's that?
Spinning Wheel Kick.
Yes.
Which is an uncommon that I mentioned last week from Kamigawa.
Spinning Wheel Kick would have been fantastic. It's like double X, double green. And if you want to know what we think about it, go and check out our last episode where we did our top 15 cards of Kamigawa that you need for your commander decks. All right, enough messing around here, Paul. We have a full stacked episode to talk about. We're going to move on to our main phase 1 here. I'm going to get into the meat and potatoes of this episode. And we are talking about the reserve list, but it's in we kind of flipped it a little bit because, I mean, everyone talks about the reserve list, but we're okay. I don't even know how to really intro this, do we? Because it's not really a game that we got over here in the West. Or East, sorry.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about something that recently came to light, which has apparently been going on for a while, based on James's research, which he's done way more than I have into this. So I'll let him have the helm in a second. But we're talking about something that recently came to light that puts the reserve list in a new light. Basically, it's very interesting. I'll let James take the wheel though, because he, like I said, he's done a bit more research into this than me, and he's actually apparently played the other game that we're going to be mentioning here, which I have not.
Yeah, so 2006, I believe, is when this card game came out, but it's called Duel Masters. And it was janky as hell. It was like, it used very similar concepts as Magic. It was like 5 civilizations with all different colors, and those colors represented like darkness and light and fire and air and all that. And it was kind of Yu-Gi-Oh! Light because you had like 5 shields or anything, but that's not what we're here to talk about. So this isn't the first time that Duel Masters and Magic the Gathering have done a crossover event. Back in 2016, they did one, and they gave us Jace the Mind Sculptor and Nicol Bolas. So I was like, okay, that's cool. In 2020, they also did another crossover event where they printed cards like Black Lotus, Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn, Lava Coil, Mons, Goblin's Raider, Sarah Angel, and of course, Nicol Bolas again. I wrote here, it seems like Nicol Bolas is quite popular even outside of MTG, and I mean, I think that's very true. He's probably like one of the biggest villains in like, you know, card game history. But with their most recent crossover event that they've just done, they decided to go back and reprint more than just what they've already done now. So it's not even a reprint because it's just a print. So they're printing cards like, but not limited to, Birds of Paradise, Black Lotus, Emrakul the Aeon's Torn, Jace the Mind Sculptor, Library of Alexandria, Nicol Bolas, Sarah Angel, and Sliver Queen. Now, these don't work the same way as they do in Magic the Gathering. They work very similar. It's like the Black Lotus card is a zero drop mono artifact that once it comes on the battlefield, you put the top 3 cards of your library on that card, and then every turn you take one off and put it on the bottom. And then once you don't have any cards on it, or they're called seals. So once you don't have any seals on them, you put it into the graveyard, and then your next spell costs 3 less to cast, but can't be 0. So it's kind of the same as what a Black Lotus does, but obviously very, very slower compared to what Black Lotus was. Paul actually brought this to light to me the other day, and I went, oh my God, they're doing this. Like, this is a thing, but it's been going on for at least, since 2016. So they've got 6 different crossovers between Duel Masters and Magic the Gathering that we're just seeing now. And, they're officially printed by WotC. They've got the names and the exact artwork from the card files from WotC. So they've got, the Black Lotus has Christopher Rush's artwork for Black Lotus. It even looks like an actual Magic card. It has the old brown artifact background. It's got mono artifact written on it. The only thing different is where the resource cost is. It's not in the top right-hand corner. It's in the left-hand corner because that's where it is in Duel Masters. And I thought it was a very interesting topic to talk about because it's going to be what's going to happen now.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify that the art on the Black Lotus is actually It's Chris Ron. It's not Chris Rush's art. It's the NTGO promo art, or not promo, the Vintage Masters art, Black Lotus.
Sorry, that's my bad. I did misspeak on that one.
But yeah, I think I think the weirdest part about this to me is that it's been going on for so long, and I guess the reason why we're now noticing is because there's a official WotC printed foil Black Lotus, which is impossible to exist in the Magic universe. Literally impossible for many reasons. Well, really just one.
One, because they won't print it again because it's worth too damn much money. It's on the reserve list for a reason, and because people are like, I mean, there's lots of reasons why it's on the reserve list. We don't need to add to the other 1,000 reserve list videos out there.
Yeah. So I guess to put our own unique spin on it and not really talk about the reserve list specifically that much, are Duel Masters printings of reserve list cards in Magic the Gathering a good thing? This really depends a lot on a variety of factors. I think for myself personally, I think it is a good thing. I think for people who want an official card, right? Like they want to support the company that makes these cards, or they want something that feels like an actual card as opposed to like, printing out like a colored piece of paper that has a picture of Black Lotus on it, which is fine, by the way. Don't get me wrong. But some people just don't like to do that, right? Which is also fine. And this provides those people, myself included, an out. Like if they want an actual card, feels like a card, looks like a card, printed by WotC, and looks freaking sweet, which it does, by the way. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but it looks really cool. So in my opinion, I think it is a good thing for the reasons I just listed. I think it is a really cool idea. I don't think it's a workaround to the reserve list. I think that is probably a bit of a stretch. But it will make for good cool looking cubes, which is primarily what I'm interested in. Because I'm not playing Vintage anytime soon. I think it is an amazing thing, and I really hope actually that they are more publicized. And as far as I know, this is only in Japan, right?
Yeah, because that's where Duel Masters predominantly is.
Yeah. Okay.
It was a way to get Magic the Gathering into the Japanese culture. I believe like the manga had the main characters playing Magic for like the first 2 or 3 issues, and then they switched to Duel Masters. So everyone kind of got the idea of what Magic was over there. So they tried to push it, but it didn't really stick. And Duel Masters kind of caught on as their own thing. So these are, yes, Japanese only. I did do a bit of a Google search on the cards, and I did find that you can find them on like eBay and stuff. I think you can't find them on TCG Player yet. You may be able to find them in other places as well. And you said it like the cube and everything, but I'm looking at this one commander card on here that I actually may want to pick up for myself because, I mean, like you said, they're officially printed by WotC. When you buy them, you're supporting WotC themselves. I would pick up a Sliver Queen to then build a Sliver deck.
No, you
I would actually do that because I think last time I saw this card, it was like $300. And I can get a copy from Duel Masters for $10. And it's on official card stock. It's just as thick as every other card. It's going to look like a card. It's going to feel like a card. It's not going to be a piece of paper in front of another card in a sleeve. And who knows? You might see me streaming with a Sliver deck here in the next couple of months or so.
No, I will not let that happen. I promise you.
You're not going to let me build a Sliver deck?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
I hate Sliver decks.
That's fine. You don't have to. You're just playing against it. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Everyone needs a Sliver deck, and this is my Sliver deck.
Anyway, moving on from that, are MTG players going to want to use or want these cards? Kind of already addressed this one. Again, it depends on the person, depends on, a variety of factors. But in general, I think yes. I've already spoken with a few of my Magic friends. Me and Janes have already demonstrated a want/need for a couple of these cards.
Yeah.
And the general consensus seems to be that this is something that is exciting. We get to support the company making the game, and we get to have like an actual card, and we're not really like circumventing or making anybody feel bad about their investment, I suppose. You know, like if somebody actually owns an actual Black Lotus, not really hurting them. We just get
Not at
to
all.
walk away with something that looks really cool, and we get to feel good that we are helping out the company making the game so that they can keep doing cool stuff. The one thing I would like to see, though, is I actually meant to mention this before when I asked if this was Japan only, is I would like to see these more localized. And I don't even care about like the language on the card. I just want like them like to be printed here so we can get a hold of them a little easier. And I'm wondering if there's a deeper reason behind why that is. Like, why wouldn't this be more publicized? You know, I don't know. It's a bit of a strange situation to me, but I do hope that we get to see them printed here in the near future.
I wonder if it's just trying to popularize Magic in Japan more than what it is now. Because I mean, they're competing with so many more card games than we ever will think of. You know. And I'm just going off the top of my head here. I haven't actually done much research into the ways of like gaming culture in Japan or anything. But for this to be Japan exclusive, it kind of makes me feel that like, well, this may be another shot at having people open up Duel Masters packs, see cards they're not really, you know, like, oh, what's this Black Lotus card from? Or what's this Jace the Mind Sculptor, Nicol Bolas, Library of Alexandria? Google it and then find the actual Magic cards that they kind of like quote unquote came from, and then might, again, this is a massive hypothetical, but then might like, you know, go down that rabbit hole and find out Magic and then start looking at more Magic content and everything. And I actually just had a really good thought of who we could talk to this about, and that's Hoy MTG, because he is a Japanese MTG content creator.
Huh.
So I will actually get him on the blower here in the next couple of days, and I will figure that out, and I will have a Twitter thing with him, because I'm interested to know like what is Magic culture over there in Japan. If they're doing this as Japanese only, is that because they're trying to introduce Magic into like mainstream popularity over there and try to push out maybe Duel Masters? Who knows?
Finally up here on this segment, is this the closest we will come to the championship decks of old? Which, if you're a newer player, you don't know what those are. Back in the like late '90s, I think, maybe early 2000s as well. I'm pretty sure. Maybe like 2005, 2006. Not sure when they stopped doing them. WotC used to print championship decks, which were gold bordered versions of actual decks that people played in Magic tournaments that they won with, you know, like top 8 or something like that. Obviously, because they were gold bordered, they were not tournament legal, but they had cool cards in them. Like some of the earlier ones had Force of Will, Black Lotus, Mox Emerald, Mox Ruby, Mox Sapphire, Mox Jet, Mox Pearl, Time Walk, you know, all the Power 9, Time Twister. And, you know, even those versions of those cards can fetch upwards of hundreds, thousands of dollars, right? And they're not even tournament playable. So these Duel Masters cards are not very different in terms of that, like in terms of playability. You can't play those in a tournament. You can't play the Duel Masters cards in tournaments. The only difference is that I think the championship decks didn't even have magic backs. They had different backs.
Yeah, they had like a championship 1999 back or something.
Yeah,
like they had their own, like each championship pack had their own different backing, because you can pick up, I think, like a gold bordered Gaia's Cradle for like $100.
Yeah, which is insane, right? But like now we have something extremely similar. The only difference here is it's for a different game, but like if it doesn't affect the playability, then who cares? And it literally is like we're getting the biggest cards, you know, not whole decks obviously, but really the only cards you really cared about were the big hitters, you know, like the ones I just mentioned. And now we're getting Sliver Queen, Library of Alexandria, Black Lotus. Maybe Bop and Emrakul are a little less exciting, but still cool, right? That you can get like these unique versions of these cards. And, you know, maybe somebody likes the way those cards look better. Like, personally speaking, I haven't seen it in person yet, but it looks like a clean card. And I think, honestly, as somebody who has been barking up the tree of please print championship or gold bordered cards again, just to have something to hold, I think that this is the closest we will come because clearly they're not going to do it again. We're not going to get championships decks again. It's been too long. I don't think it's something that they're interested in. And I do think that this is what we've got now. Now, the only problem, of course, is going to be now that they are popular. The whole supply-demand situation, are these going to become as expensive as championship deck cards?
Yeah, is it worth picking one up now or like a set of these now, holding onto them for a little bit and then seeing what the price does? Again, not financial advice in any terms whatsoever. I'm the worst person when it comes to finance and like MTG resellability. But who knows, because of how hard they are to get, how many people are actually going to want to use these cards, and it might be worth picking up, say, a $10 card or a $15 card and then holding onto it. You may make a couple extra bucks off it if you were ever to sell it. Am I going to say that they're going to reach the price of, like the championship versions of, say, Gaia's Cradle or the Moxen or anything? Probably not, but it's pretty sweet to still hold an official Black Lotus card. So when you get that card, Paul, let me know because I wanna come and put my grubby mitts all over it.
I should also mention, actually, I forgot about this, that the Power 9, they had collector's editions prints as well, which were actually black bordered, but they had square edges instead of rounded.
Yeah.
So that was the trick for those.
All right, so that is our main phase 1. We are going to pass through our combat phase now. I'm going to swing my Emrakul the Aeon's Taunt at you, Paul. How do you wish to block?
I'm going to call a judge because we're playing Commander and you're playing a card that is banned.
No, but it's a Duel Master's card. It's not banned.
Wait, what? That doesn't help your case.
Fine, I'll get DQ'd. It's all right. Just tell me how you're going to block it before you bring a judge over.
Thinking with the Annihilator trigger on the stack. Still thinking. No blocks.
All right, cool. Excellent. Oh, the judge is here. Oh, yeah, no, I can't have this card on the field? Oh, okay, well, I guess in that case, you take no damage, and we'll go from there. So what we're going to do is we're going to hear a message from our sponsors right now. Welcome back from that ad break. We're going to jump back into this episode, back into our main phase 2 here, talking about the reserve list, but not in the way that you most expect, through the Duel Masters reprints. Or I guess I gotta stop calling them reprints, man, because they're not reprints, they're just prints.
Yeah, they are mechanically unique cards in Duel Masters, so literally just new cards to that game.
Exactly. Kind of. I mean, they've been printed once before, but they're getting like a reprint in that through their Parallel Masters set where they're doing like a Time Spiral. It's kind of like their version of Time Spiral Remastered, or I guess just Time Spiral, where they get to do like all these weird wacky mechanics and get to try new things, and it might be a thing. So I can really see like Duel Masters just pulling tropes from Magic, and that's awesome. But I'll jump back in here with another question, Paul. Do you think that these prints are a bad thing?
So this is kind of addressed in the first segment where we asked if they are a good thing. So I think instead of answering whether or not they are a bad thing, because I already said I think they are good, I think what I'll address is what's bad about them. Just because it's a more unique question that'll have a more interesting answer.
Say my questions aren't good enough for you?
No,
I
it's
see
just,
how it is.
I want to provide a unique answer, right?
I get that.
So what is bad about these Duel Masters prints? And honestly, I'm struggling to find anything that could possibly be bad with them.
They're not as powerful as their original MTG versions. There, I said it.
Right. I suppose in Duel Masters that's true, but for our intents and purposes, they are the same card.
Yeah.
And honestly, like I literally cannot think of a single bad thing. We support WotC. We have cool cards. It doesn't hurt collectors / investors who already own actual, like Magic the Gathering copies of the card. And honestly, like maybe even WotC is using this as a way to like gauge like how popular they would be if they did something like that, right? Like maybe they're using this game in Japan as a way to judge that. Who knows? But off the top of my head, I literally can't think of a single bad thing. Maybe, and I don't know this for sure, maybe the card stock or quality is different. But it can't get much worse than Magic's, right?
The absolute meta joke. I love it. But all right. I mean, if they're gauging the idea of like how popular this is, they know they have X amount of Magic players. If they released a paper version of Vintage Masters, would you buy a pack? Would you buy a box?
I would buy several boxes.
Exactly.
Boxes.
That right there should be, their answer to, is this popular or not? I mean, if you give us like non-tournament play reprints of the Power 9 and all the other reserveless cards and everything that came in Vintage Masters, I would be so keen for that. I would max out a credit card buying as many as I could.
Honestly, all they would have to do is like every year sell like the whole Magic the Gathering online vintage cube as gold border cards. That would be a moneymaker. Secret Lair. There you go. They have an out.
I mean, even if they did if they did a Secret Lair reserve list cards, that would be most likely one of the most popular Secret Lairs that they've done to date.
Yeah, I'm not sure they would have enough paper in the factory or cardboard in the factory to print that.
People would buy hundreds of thousands of those boxes.
But anyway, we're not talking about reserve lists here. We're talking about Duel Masters printings of reserve list cards specifically. So are they a bad thing? Absolutely not. The only thing I could see that might be bad about them is even these get price gated, right? Like people just can't afford to import cards from Japan, or, they're so popular that they start to spike up. Like I mentioned before, like the championship deck cards or collector's edition cards. That's the only bad thing that I could possibly foresee. But other than that, I think they're wonderful, and I really do hope that we get these more popularized and localized.
Yeah, I think not even think about it, but in our little ad break, you checked your listing for your Black Lotus, right?
Yes, I did.
And it hasn't even been 24 hours since that listing went up. And
it's already gone up about 20%. So
yeah. So like my next question was, will this affect the price of the actual card? And I mean, the answer to that is always going to be forever. No, it's not going to affect the price of the actual card.
Yeah, I mean, like maybe it'll wiggle down a couple bucks compared to the $30,000 price tag or whatever for an actual Black Lotus.
I mean, if you've got a card that's worth $35,000 and it goes down to $34,999, are you really gonna be upset about that $1 because they printed a copy of the card in another game?
That's what I mean. A lot of people are saying like, "Oh, is this the answer to the reserve list?" And I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but it's not. And that is primarily the reason why this is not going to affect the price of the actual card. Like, yeah, you'll have a nice piece for your cube or whatever. But to play in an actual like vintage tournament, you're going to need, sorry to say it, a Black Lotus, an actual one, which is going to, run you at minimum, like, I think it's like $7,000-$8,000 now. Not really sure.
What about this, Paul? Does this set a precedent for printing reserve list cards in other WotC-owned IPs?
So I'm not entirely sure what IPs WotC actually owns. And I guess actually that extends to any Hasbro, right? Any Hasbro IP? Yeah. But this is a really like interesting thing to analyze, because what does Hasbro own? There's a lot, right? I can't even like think of another one off the top of my head, to be honest.
There is a Transformers trading card game.
Okay, so let's say they print Black Lotus, but instead of being a Black Lotus, it's Megatron. I don't know, whatever. Or it's the Allspark.
It's like the Allspark.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. That would be sweet.
Again,
that would be awesome, actually. That's a great idea. Do it. But like I think it does set a precedent, but it sets a very good precedent. We can essentially, like, they have the power to do this because it's not affecting the actual card, right? They can do this as often as they freaking want. And it makes for some really cool and interesting ideas and dynamics. Like this foil old border Black Lotus is like, I hope is just the tip of the iceberg. If we could get a Transformers themed Allspark version of Black Lotus, like you can bet your ass that there are going to be a lot of cubes out there that are going to want to play the Allspark Black Lotus.
But not even like cubes. Like if they did it, if they did like the same premise with like Transformers, you could then like, How much more money do you reckon the Hasbro Transformers cards that we have in Magic already that are silver bordered? Like, I think it's Grimlock, isn't it? As the
Uh,
Naya commander.
yeah, Grimlock is the Naya one. I can't remember the other cards that come in that.
Doesn't matter. Grimlock's the one I worry about at the moment. But I mean, like, if you had that commander deck and your play group was like, yep, cool, awesome, you can play that card, as if you wouldn't play Transformers themed Magic cards in that deck.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be great. And I think this really does bring an interesting idea to light, which is what is stopping WotC from doing this in Magic, right? I'm not talking about printing reserveless cards. Sorry, I should clarify. I mean, what is stopping them from printing, you know, non-tournament playable cards or, reflavored, still non-tournament playable versions of these cards just because, Like, why can they do it there but not here?
I mean, that's why they have the reserve list. That's why they can't do it, because it will tank the prices. But I don't.
No,
think it's
I'm saying non-tournament playable cards.
I mean, non-tournament played cards. I don't know, man. I don't know. There's no reason not to at this point, besides the fact that it's just not a product that they're excited about creating anymore. I think it's more about, like, if you kind of look at it, they're kind of looking more to the future now than they are to the past. Like, those were things that they did and it was cool and all and everything, but we haven't really done anything since, or even had the inclination of going back and doing anything since.
I don't know. It's a weird dynamic for me because literally all that's changed. It's WotC printing it, so literally all that's changing it. It's not designated for Magic the Gathering. That's it.
Yeah, it's just getting, printed in Japan and packed in Japan and then, sold in Japan.
Damn. Yeah. But it's essentially the same as if they just took the card, put a silver or a gold border on it or whatever and shipped it,
And I am down for that. Like, there's actually a couple cards that I want to pick up in gold bordered because of, like, I'm never going to have enough to be able to buy a Gaia's Cradle. I'm never going to be able to justify a Gaia's Cradle, let alone like a foil version of a Gaia's Cradle. And I mean, these Duel Master cards come in foil. So, like, there's a foil Black Lotus out there for $40 to $50. Yeah, so good. Or we'll get a foil Allspark one from the Transformers trading card game.
I'm serious. That would be so cool.
It feels like it would be like a secret layer, like crossover, like a, Universes Beyond secret layer that they could do. Or if they did like a Duel Masters secret layer as well.
The problem with secret layers is that they have only playable cards in there, and that would have to be not playable.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how popular it would be compared to other secret layers.
I get that. All right, so I don't really have much else to say about these cards besides that they are fantastic. Do you have any closing final thoughts for the listeners and viewers?
I do, actually. I think that what we're talking about here knocks on a couple different topics. We're talking about reserve lists, and we're basically talking about proxying as well, which, everybody that listens to us knows that we are pro proxy. James plays with proxies all the time. I have a few lingering in a few decks of mine as well. Just because it's tough to get multiple copies of some cards, especially like dual lands and Gaia's Cradles and such. So, I think that this is an awesome thing. Obviously in this case it's Black Lotus, which isn't playable in Commander. Unless you're playing Garth and you want a nice, cool Black Lotus token, in which case go for it. But I really would like to see these, like I said, localized. I want them to be more popular. I want them to be, this feels like something that should be revolutionary, considering how far along we are in the game and how long it's been since we actually have seen these cards printed in a form like this, where it's like at least somewhat accessible. And so I really just want to close by saying that if this is something that you should probably keep an eye on. I would almost keep an eye on this as much as you would like the next secret layer, because this is basically like secret layer cards that WotC can't print.
I mean, you are not wrong at all on that, and I wholeheartedly agree with you on every point that you just stated. Yeah, I really have nothing else to say about them. They're fantastic. Will I be getting a couple? Yeah, most likely. Will I be getting that Sliver Queen and building a Sliver deck to punch Paul in the face with it? Yes, I will.
Will I be targeting James and killing him first every game he plays it? Absolutely.
And I'm cool with that because that's my consequences. Tell us what you think. Keep this conversation flowing on our Instagram or our Twitter at CMDR@arms. Let us know what you think. If you want to check out our YouTube channel, or if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, yada, yada, yada. You can check us out on YouTube at youtube.com/commanderatarms, where we do all of our gameplay videos. So Commander at Arms to the Battlefield is on there as well. Episode 3 is currently live right now, where we played Magic with Kevin from the GMGC and CJ, who is one of our patrons, keeping it strong up there, supporting us since almost day one. Love that guy. I love hanging out with him playing Magic. If you want to watch us make those episodes, you can do it on twitch.tv/commanderatarms. Don't forget to follow us, and we stream every single Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. EST, or in case of this week, it's going to be Thursday, 8:30 p.m. EST. So if you listen to this episode on Thursday and it's not 8:30 p.m. EST, come and check us out playing Magic on Twitch. We will be playing Magic with all your favorite content creators, our friends, and our patrons. If you want to pick up any cards, sealed products, maybe some Kamigo and Neon Dynasty or anything, I would say some of these cards from the Duel Masters prints, but they're not available on TCG Player just yet. You want to support us, get these cards shipped to your house directly, quickest shipping possible. Do it through our TCG affiliate link. It's tcgplayer.com/commanderatarms. If you want to rep a Commander at Arms logo across your chest, you can do that by clicking the link below, which will take you to the Bad Fred Design Co. Etsy page, which hosts all of our shirts and the rest of our merch, as well as their awesome wooden deck boxes. Go and check those ones out because they're fantastic. And as always, you can help support the show directly through patreon.com/commanderatarms. All patron tiers get access to the Discord server. Some of them also get access to being able to play Magic with us on Twitch and be featured on an episode of Commander at Arms to the Battlefield. So go and check that one out if you want to help support us and play Magic with us. And with all of that, Paul, do you have any final thoughts that you want to say, or anything final to the listeners or the viewers?
Yes, of course. Thank you all so much for tuning in and listening/watching if you're on YouTube. If you enjoyed what you just heard, please feel free to, share our name around with your friends, with your play group, your LGS. Say, hey, I just listened to these cool guys, Paul and James. They were talking about this game, Duel Masters. Who the hell knows what that is? But they got freaking Black Lotuses over there. And as always, thank you for taking the time to listen. Even if it was just a few minutes or the entire hour or so that this occupies. It was still time you could have spent doing anything else, but you chose to spend it sitting down listening to us chit-chat for a bit. So thank you very much for that. And for anybody that's been tuning in for the streams and watching our gameplay on YouTube, thank you again for doing that. The more support, the better, and it really means a lot to me and James, considering this is something that we just, we do it for a hobby. And so the fact that people enjoy what we consider a hobby is a very cool feeling.
Some would say it's the best feeling.
Indeed.
With all that, I'm James.
And I'm Paul.
And you've been listening to the newest episode of the Commander at Arms podcast. And remember, arm yourself with knowledge. Peace.
See ya.